Next tonight, a Two on Your Side original with footage that you have never seen before.
Buffalo, of course, is a border town, so a lot of us cross into Canada and back, and that comes with lots of benefits in terms of visitors, culture, and economic impact.
But it also presents challenges to law enforcement. Tonight, we're going to go in depth on what's happening at the border to keep Western New Yorkers safe. Here's Two on Your Side's Michael Wooten.
Just last year, almost 10 million cars, 2 million large trucks, and tens of billions of dollars worth of goods collectively crossed the four bridges from Canada into Western New York.
So there's a lot of commerce that crosses the Buffalo-Niagara region, and it is vital.
But beyond trade and travel, our border bridges are also crucial connections for criminals. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, is charged with policing the ports of entry.
You're looking for people who might be smuggling drugs. You're looking for people who may have kidnapped somebody. You're looking for people who maybe bringing in weapons, adding to the illegal immigrant population. These are all things that we're focused on.
A big focus for CBP has been the humanitarian crisis at the southern border. Here in the north, the agency opened up about its operations.
This is an active lane.
Starting with what many of us have encountered, the inspection booths. You've undoubtedly noticed the cameras and license plate readers, but Buffalo Chief Officer Aaron Bowker showed us some technology that may surprise you, like what's hidden inside these yellow metal boxes.
Every car, every conveyance, every person scanned for radiation.
Looking for things like uranium or plutonium that could be weaponized. Still, the most important part of this process is the interview with the CBP officer, who only has on average less than a minute to decide whether or not to admit someone.
They're doing this thousands of times a day. Those are thousands of decisions they have to make.
In 50 seconds.
In 50 seconds, on average,
yeah.
a car. Yep.
At the Peace Bridge Plaza, there's limited space.
The footprint's maxed.
During heavy traffic, that can lead to long lines. But creative engineering recently allowed a new 19th inspection lane, a so-called high-low booth that can be used for both cars and trucks.
So you can process trucks because there's a high point, but then there's also a low inspection booth for cars. So in the summer, when we're getting a lot of that heavy traffic, people coming in to go shopping or whatever, we can switch them over.
Besides administrative issues like duties or random screenings, 99.99% of vehicles are allowed to pass through. The remaining 0.01% are forced to head inside.
The officers have access to more computer data than they would have had on primary to do a more intensive inspection.
While that interview happens, other officers are searching the vehicle.
If they feel the risk is low, they may not need to do as in-depth of a search. If they feel the risk is high, it could be here a while.
And it could end up in the garage, complete with a lift to look under the car and all the tools necessary for a thorough search.
Sometimes you probably have to rip a car apart here.
Absolutely, but the old thought that we don't have to put it back together if we don't find anything is wrong.
You do.
So if we damage it, it's on us, and we do put them back together.
Everything on site is under scrutiny here.
You monitor cameras.
Chief Officer Bowker describes this as the heartbeat of the entire operation.
A lot of eyes and ears.
A lot of eyes and ears, absolutely. But it's important, not only from an officer's perspective for safety, but also the traveling public should know that everything's being recorded.
Yeah.
We can hear it, we can see it, which is good for everybody involved.
Nearby, you have the bus terminal where passengers can be questioned and all bags get scanned. If any search or interview reveals a crime,
we're walking into a holding cell here at the Peace Bridge.
A person can end up here. Yes, suspects can be kept in custody on site, at least for a while.
We take the digital prints, pictures.
Many of the arrests that happen are tied to illegal drugs.
One of the biggest changes at the border has to deal with marijuana. It's now legal on that side of the Niagara River in Canada, but it is still illegal to bring here into the U.S., and seizures are skyrocketing.
This fiscal year up to July 9th, officers in the large Buffalo field office have made almost 800 marijuana seizures totaling more than 3,000 pounds of pot. Compare that to under 600 pounds during the same time period a year prior. That's a 500% increase.
There's a market here, and people are going to try and bring it in and sell it.
And they get creative with pot stuffed into speakers, empty aluminum meat cans, even boxes marked as kids' toys. And it's not just marijuana. Officers at the Peace Bridge found 13 pounds of ecstasy hidden inside stuffed animals.
I imagine criminals are more creative now than they've ever been.
Absolutely.
Fentanyl is a growing concern. If a package is suspected of having any of that dangerous drug, it is inspected in one of these special containers.
You get a package and you don't know what it is. You don't want to be subjected to it either. So
It can be deadly just to trace them out.
absolutely, and just basic gloves and a N95 respirator is not going to cut it.
Examining packages in tractor trailers is easier now thanks to the relatively new warehouse at the Peace Bridge equipped with 9 truck bays.
This redesign really made us a lot more efficient just by the simple fact that we can unload a truck in minutes now.
Yeah.
Using a forklift or something motorized, whereas we couldn't do that before. Everything was by hand, cart, and by hand.
Another part of the redesign was eliminating 2 of the 3 exits off the property. Now there's only one way to get out of the Peace Bridge Plaza.
So if I have 3 exits to watch, I got 3 officers watching exits. Yeah. Well, now 2 of those officers can go back to, what's really important, those primary inspection duties.
Because that's where the crucial call gets made, and there are no redos.
If you make a mistake or you admit someone you shouldn't, then that may have consequences down the road.
And it's on that officer.
And it's on that officer, yeah. So it's an enormous weight they carry.
Protecting the public without overly burdening the border. Tough to balance with so much at stake. And in case you missed part 1 of our story last week, we reported on increased delays at our border crossings because CBP moved some officers from here down to the border with Mexico. There has been a big reduction in how many officers have been transferred, but some of them remain down south. We were supposed to get specific numbers from the Department of Homeland Security about how many officers here have been moved, how long, when they'll return. That report was due by law a week ago, and Homeland Security still won't release it. The department has ignored all of our requests to see that report, just no response at all. We filed a Freedom of Information request, guys, to get a copy of that report. That is pending right now. Today, Senator Chuck Schumer sent a letter demanding the report. One senior official tells me as a source that the report may take weeks to finish, even though the law said it was due a week ago.
And why do they suspect? Just because the numbers are so much higher than suspected?
They should know the numbers. They should be readily available, right? But for some reason, this report is not available right now, and so we don't know how many officers have been moved.
I don't ever remember getting this kind of access there.
No, and our appreciation to CBP for showing us all of this, something a lot of us deal with all the time, and now kind of pulling back the curtain and seeing how it works.
One last thing, interesting, you said 0.01%.
Actually get referred to a secondary screening. Besides the random referrals, I've been randomly referred before. You have to go and answer some questions. When it's actually an enforcement matter, only 0.01%.
Wow, that job has changed a lot for them in just 10 years. But it was a great look back
Thank you.
behind the scenes. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.